Hi, Robert. So you got your watch here, and I'm done with the modding. Got your old bracelet packaged up, your old crystal packaged up, and your original bezel packaged up. And then I've got your new bracelet here, which I will put on in a minute, but just wanted to go over this with you real quick. So basically, as far as the day wheel function goes, there's no way to make that English all the way across. With Seiko, you get a day wheel that has either it has two languages. Always one is going to be English, the other one is going to be a foreign language, whether it be Arabic or kanji or whatever. But if you want to keep it on English all the time, it's just a matter of setting it. So I'm not sure if you're familiar with how it works or what not, but basically after you unscrew the crown, you pull it out 2 clicks. That is the time setting mode, so you can adjust the time setting. Push it back in all the way, that's to wind it. Pull it out to the first click, that's to change the day function. So if you set it to be on the actual Arabic, then it'll stay on Arabic when it automatically changes the day over. If you set it on the English, then it'll change over to the English when the time goes over. You'll see as it moves past midnight, it'll switch over to Arabic, but then as it progresses about 15 minutes past midnight, it'll switch back over to English if that's the setting that you put it on. So you just have to give it time to actually make that transition. Then if you reverse this the other way, you can set your date function. But whenever you are setting the time, you always want to make sure that you do never ever set it between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. So you always want to go, basically if you're going to set the time, unscrew the crown, pull it out to the second click, and you're going to wind this all the way around till it goes past midnight. So you'll see it switch over there, and see how I had it set on English. So now it'll switch to kanji, and then back to English. Actually, I guess I'm sorry, it's going to take a few hours to go back to the English. I don't know why I was saying 15 minutes, but anyhow, it will switch back over to the English setting if that's what you had it on. So anyhow, you go past 6 a.m. We know that we're on the AM side now because it already switched over from midnight. So go past 6 a.m. and then you can set it to whatever your time is. Let's say that you got up at 8 o'clock in the morning and you want to set it to 8, so you just put it at 8 right there, and then go ahead and push this in, pull it back out to the first click, and then you could set it for Tuesday, which would be tomorrow, and then the 3rd, like that. And then now push this in all the way, give it a few winds to get it going for the day. And then when you want to push the crown in to screw it in, you're going to push it in, go backwards until it seats, and then screw it in. Don't just push it in and try to screw it. You always want to go backwards so you can feel the threads seat properly, then screw it down like that. But I'll show you one more time the as it transitions over. So pull this out. So it's 8 a.m. We're going to keep going. Now we're at 12 in the afternoon, and then we're going to go all the way over to midnight, and you'll see that it's set on English. So as it goes over midnight, switches over, then it's going to switch to Arabic, and then around 3 a.m. it's going to switch back over to English. So it will switch to English, you just got to leave it there. And then you'll go past 6 a.m. and then do your time set. So then push this in, back till it seats, and then screw it down. Okay, so that's screwed down. Now, as for the crystal, I believe what you were trying to get at by sending me the illustration that you did is that you were looking for a flush fit matching perfectly with the insert that goes inside the bezel and the edge of the crystal. With the CT057 crystal that you sent, that is a lower dome. There's 2 double dome crystals that crystal times carries. There's the CT057 for the turtles, and then I believe the CT076, I think it is. I'm not exactly sure on that number, but the difference between the two being that this one has a lower height and thickness of the crystal. They're both double dome. This one's just a lower thickness. The 76 would be almost double what this is. And with that being said, you have the potential for it to actually, I think, come up above the insert as far as the outside edge of the crystal is concerned. With this one, this would be the most suitable fit for this type of bezel and insert that you're going with, because it really doesn't have anything to do with the bezel and insert itself. They're pretty much all the same thickness as far as the ceramic ones go. Only the aluminum inserts might be like maybe 0.5 millimeter less thick than the ceramic ones, because Seiko makes the aluminum inserts that they make pretty thick. And the bezel itself is going to be the same dimensions internally where the insert would sit as far as height is concerned, because of the fact of how the mechanism itself works. You see there's a little channel or ridge on the outside of the case ring that houses the crystal itself, and then there's a channel or lip inside the bezel that, as you press this down, catches that. So it has to be the same dimensions as a stock one inside in order for that lip to catch properly and allow for the proper rotation of the bezel. So you really aren't going to have any difference in height or depth as far as how the insert sits, and the insert, you know, being thinner or thicker, is going to be so minimal that it wouldn't really have an effect on the crystal itself. So it all depends on the crystal. But this one that you've chosen, in my opinion, would be the correct version to go with, because if you went with the thicker one, then you would have it be maybe sitting more of a dome than this one is, to where it protrudes out and you get like more of a bubble effect. But at the same time, you run the risk of having the beveled edge of the crystal show above the insert. Now this one, you can see it looks like it's recessed down, but that's actually how you want it to look. That's the way it would look stock, and except for the fact that this is the insert that comes, or I'm sorry, the crystal that comes stock with Seiko is flat. So let's say that you had the same crystal with the stock bezel and insert, it would look exactly the same as this does. Now, as you can see, it sits just below the insert, and then when you look at the actual dome, the dome comes slightly above the insert by approximately, I would say, maybe 2 millimeters above it. If you were to go with the thicker crystal, then you would have it be about 2 more millimeters on top of that above this, but also have the potential for it to come above this. I don't think it's going to sit flush. I haven't seen one yet that really does that. They're pretty much all this way. In fact, I have my turtle that I built, which is a low dome. It's actually more of a single dome, not a double dome, so that the dome itself doesn't sit above the insert, but you'll see that it has that little recess in there as well. So that's normal. It's not like it's unflush. The only way to really get it flush would be to use a flat crystal. But then again, you're still going to have a slight gap there in between. As you can see, this doesn't look like there's any gap. It's just when you turn it, you can see the recess. But that's the way it's supposed to look. But ultimately, it's all up to you what you want to do. But I'm going to send this back to you after we're squared away. And then you can decide for yourself, and we'll go from there. But anyhow, it's all done. I'll be putting the bracelet on, and then I'll get this out to you. If you have any questions, email me back. But here, I'll show you real quick what I was trying to explain to you. So I know I saw your illustrations. So this would be the bezel here, and then the watch obviously coming down, the crown here. So here's the bezel. I think the look you were trying to achieve was to have the, obviously you're going to have the width of the insert, so we'll say that's the insert width right there. And then you were trying to have the crystal come up, maybe not that pronounced, more like that. But what I think would end up happening is that you would have the crystal sit probably more like this with the other one. And with this one that's in it, you have essentially just the crystal peeking above like this, and then a little slight recess in there. So anyway, the crystal that you have is the one that I would go with if I was going to do a build. So you'll see when you get it. All right, thanks.